June 12th TDA meeting. Moving on to the adoption of the agenda. Do we have a motion to adopt the set agenda for today?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. First, I'd like to welcome Miss Cindy to the board. We're excited to work with you. Yes, ma'am. And then also, Miss Sandy will be absent today because she has a meeting at the club as well. So, moving on to the minutes, we have 3 separate minutes from 2 regular meetings and then a specialized meeting at the Beach Mountain Country Club office. We'll have to go through them one at a time. So we'll start with the May 8th one, if you'll look through that.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. When Phyllis resigned, she resigned as of June 30th. Did that change that I don't know about? Because Cindy was nominated, but to fill the position as of July 1st. So I just want to make sure that it's okay if voting occurs and stuff. I'm not sure how that works.
My memory was that she said she was resigning effective June 30th or before if the town could find a replacement.
Correct.
Am I remembering that correctly?
Okay, because when we nominated Cindy, it was as of July 1st because it was June 30th, but that's fine.
Okay. Yes,
I
ma'am.
just wanted to.
No, yes, ma'am.
Well,
Thank you for
it's-
asking.
Make sure everything was copacetic.
Yes,
I mean,
ma'am.
is it I know in your minutes it'll be June 30th. Would you rather not vote
No,
today?
that's fine.
Yes, ma'am. Have we had a chance to look over the May 8th minutes? Do we have a motion to accept those? The May 8th one?
I'll motion.
Do we have a second?
Well, but don't we, as she just said, don't we need to have that in these minutes? That was under new business.
Okay,
Well, it's
so
in the adjournment. No.
it's in the,
Right here.
it's,
She
Right
resigned
here.
as of June 30th?
Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, on the very last page.
I'm sorry, I missed
or
it.
when she can be replaced.
It's fine.
They found a replacement. As we find,
But that was
Yeah.
not
do
during
you
the
want
minutes,
to?
was it? It was. Was it during the? June
Well, or
7th?
maybe make it or
No,
before,
it's in
The main one.
Oh, really?
or before if the town can find a replacement. Just
Right.
add that to the
Okay, all
sentence.
right, so I'll make that clear.
April, these are, here's my deal.
Yeah, that's two.
Already.
So do we have a motion to accept the minutes with that amendment of
April
adding the notes with Ms. Phillips?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, let's continue on to look at the April 8th meeting. And I believe that's the one in the Beach Mountain Sales Office.
I motion we accept those minutes as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, and the last one is the June 7th, which we just had last week.
I motion we accept those minutes as well.
And do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
We'll now move on to the financial report, which Steve is not here today, so I'll ask his. Oh, is it?
Want me to go?
Yeah. And Ms. Kate, would you give the financial reports?
Oh, sure. Our report for this month, our income, total revenue is $10,565. Our total expenditures are $10,491. So we're still to the good, and we are still over our revenue projections. We're at 120% of what we projected to be collecting at this point. So we're going to end the year well above. Then for the month, I'm sorry, I just put a cough drop in my mouth. For the month of the last reported month, which for May's collection, that's the month of April, we are 58.8% above the April of last year. So again, we're exceeding everything we did in the previous year. And at this point, the total collection is $388,741, which is a record of all time, and we still have 2 reporting periods left in the year. Then on the gross receipts report, that actually gives you a final total collection gross receipts for our lodging partners of $6,834,753, which again is a record. So I think we're doing pretty well. The next piece is the invoices paid in May, and we did pay one of the grant items that we granted out at the previous meeting, which was Fred's General Mercantile. That is the chairs for the events. So you see that amount, that is something that they use for all the events. It's not giving Fred chairs, it's basically giving everybody chairs that Fred goes and purchases for us and puts on that card. So I think the rest of it is all, well, there is what the social media works, the Steve Frank bill. That was when we did the North Carolina Vacation Rental Workshop and put the video up for people that need to know how to send in their occupancy tax and what they need to do to comply with the Rental Act. That was the cost of that. The rest of it is pretty much, as we get down to the bottom, is the Mud Run sponsorship that we did agree to pay to the town of Beach Mountain Rec Center.
Any questions on the invoices? Do we have a motion to accept those?
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Now we'd be moving on to the budget hearing, the 2019-2020 budget. Do I have a motion to open the budget hearing for the 2019 and 20?
I'll motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Now is the time where we would allow to open discussion about any questions of the proposed budget from either the audience or any board members. And one thing I did note, we added, it's a real small print on the proposed budget on the line items. So, like the town recreation, Kate added what exactly it was to limit some of the questioning and keep it simple. And now there's not as much guessing, so I appreciate you doing that, Miss Kate.
Sure.
And that definitely helps me understand some of the items as well.
Yeah, and it kind of helps us keep track of, the 1/3 and the 2/3. We have to kind of keep a balance of that. And if we make a note of what line those things are coming out of, where we paid something, it helps us keep the balance. We don't go too heavily on one side or the other.
And also, if you can't read it because it's really small, it says $387,996, just so everyone's informed.
And that does include the $50,000. Without that $50,000, you're actually only a few $1,000s over the budget from the previous year. But it's the $50,000 for the Shane part that we really want to commit to them is included in that.
Anyone else have any comments or questions on it? Good. Do we have a motion to close the budget as it is?
A motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And moving on to old business, we have the item mud run, which was an awesome turnout from what I hear. And yeah, look, she's got the shirt.
She
So
was just covered in mud that day.
It was awesome. I loved the mud.
yes, and if,
Watching people run.
yeah, if y'all haven't had a chance to check out the video they showed at the council meeting last night, it is really, really cool.
That was a really good video.
Yes, and I'll second Mayor Renee, Kate, that was an awesome job. You and the
Yeah, you
team
did a
so
fantastic job.
We look forward
You
to
did.
doing it, and
Just take a look.
Next year, Kate's gonna go through first.
yeah,
So at the end, we can see how much mud there is.
yes, and also I'd like, even though Miss Phyllis isn't here, I'd like to thank her, because that was her idea when we met at Larry's, and I think, we should mention that, so it's the right thing to do, and so I appreciate that idea of hers. Is there any feedback we should know about, or anything you want to tell us? Yeah, I
He wants
know.
to do it again.
Awesome.
Everybody
Yeah.
was asking when they could sign up again, so we're planning probably same time next year.
Yeah.
I do want to say, I haven't told you this yet, but the principal at the Avery High School wants to work with you on it because he wants to get student groups and teacher groups to challenge. But this year it was on prom weekend, so he wants to work with you before you schedule it to see if they can make it work for all the schools too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, move it back to Mother's Day.
So, mud run in prom outfits. huh?
That's a new challenge.
That's a visual piece. I would love to see that.
Right? Kate, write that down.
Prom dressing and the guys in tuxedos
Yeah.
doing a mud run. That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm worried about the fire jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's
Pack it
funny.
So, but we did have about 80, didn't we?
80, yep, 80 exactly.
That's awesome.
That
Well,
is
that's
good.
phenomenal for a first turnout.
Have-
That's it.
And
Have we, other than them that day saying, yeah, great, we had fun, have we tried to get some feedback from some random people in detail?
Random feedback from, now the high school from Avery, but also Linville Ridge over there, they sent something to Brian Barnes. Brian forwarded it to me. The guy that's putting on a race over there decided to invite Beach Mountain residents to their run because of the mud run. So we've heard good things about that. We're gonna send out a survey to all the racers that did
Okay.
participate this past year. And if they
Great.
fill out the survey, they get like 10% off or something. So
Okay,
we should hear something back.
All right.
More people next year.
Yeah.
because that would
Yeah.
be,
It's gonna get crazy.
Yeah,
Bigger and better.
Good.
that's awesome.
Yeah. We got to talk to a lot of them at the hot dog table. It was mostly the slower ones who spent their time at the hot dog table, but yeah, people did enjoy it. So
They were all friendly. They were, we've done a couple races now where they're not so friendly at the end.
yeah,
This one, everybody was happy at the end still.
They
Except
were.
for that one kid.
they were.
That one kid was not fun, but
What happened to him?
he was attacking his parent
Oh.
at the end of it.
He didn't like it.
He was done.
I mean, they had kids this high doing it. It was, so cute. It was
Mhm.
It
great.
was, it was great.
Yes.
I'd make the fire thing bigger next
All bigger. More mud.
year. More mud.
More
That's,
more mud.
I think you do need more mud. That would be good, because some people were coming a little bit too clean when they got to the tire place. Yeah.
And some of the logs have to be smaller for some of the kids,
Oh, gotcha.
because even if she couldn't lift the small ones, so imagine the small kids. So we need to cut some of them like in half or whatever.
But it was
No,
great.
it was great.
It was
It
great.
was, it was fun.
That's good.
Can I get educated a little bit on that? Obviously, I didn't run in the mud, but, are there numbers? somewhere to be had on this? I see that there was a $5,000 check written
I believe that was
towards
for-
that event
The TDA
Yes.
donated
It
that
was
for
a
like seed
sponsorship,
money.
yeah.
for
No.
seed money.
Mhm.
Obstacles, right?
Did they
Yeah.
charge admission? Are there?
Yeah.
Ms. Kate can
Yes.
speak upon that.
Yeah, we charged.
$30?
I think it was 25
That's what I was
before and
thinking.
30 day of.
Yeah.
We had about 20 day of registrations, which was great. We spent about a little less than 3,000 on obstacles, and then the rest was like T-shirts, awards, Chinese company. I've got it all broken down in that.
I'm just
report.
curious how
Yeah,
close
that'd
to
be
zero you might have gotten.
Yeah,
You had sponsors for obstacles too.
we did. I'll send you guys my event report, or Kate, if I can send it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great, and I'll send it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just curious because
Because
that was a pretty good sized chunk of money there.
It was, and it would, the idea was for it to be a seed money and it be a fundraiser for Shane Park.
Mm.
So, it would be a good idea to see what Shane Park actually was able to net from that. Maybe it'd be something we could
Okay.
foster every
Mhm.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, just pass it on to Kate and she'll get it to us. That'd be
Yeah, and I'll
great.
send it out to you.
Just curious.
Yes, ma'am.
I
And
know
I'll
first
get
time
you an
events
invoice.
usually don't make money. I just wondered
Yeah.
how far in the hole you went.
The first year, it was actually
Yeah.
very successful, I thought. It went well, it was fun.
Yeah, and the obstacles won't have to be,
Rebuilt every year.
Yeah, some of that will be
So-
reused again. So
Yeah,
that's
slight
good.
investment.
That's good. Just curious.
Any other feedback or questions or comments, y'all, before we move on to new business? Okay. With new business, we have an approval for the 2019-2020 grants, and I'm going to read each one out loud, who they were submitted by, the amount, and then the recommended amount, and then the final amount. Do we have a motion to go into that?
Yeah.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
no, okay, oops.
Should
It's
be
called
harder.
already. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so the first one was from Jim Fry, and that was for Pails of Poisons, a beautification project. He requested $1,000.
Posies.
Oh, I'm
It's a
sorry.
flower.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I knew it was some type of landscape. He requested $1,000. The recommended amount was $500. The final decision was $500. And I'm sorry, before we get going, also, if we have any questions or comments on it, let's save it to the end so we can read through it and then revisit it, just to keep from confusion. Then second one was from Jim Fry. That was for Sound of Music, which he does on Saturday night at karaoke. He requested $2,500. The recommended amount was $2,000, and we approved that full amount that amount for $2,000. Line item number 3 is again Mr. Fry for the Bead Boys of Beach Mountain, and those were things you throw out at a parade. The recommended amount there was 0, and that's the final on that. The fourth item was Carl at the accommodation center. He painted his building for $2,500, and the recommended amount was $1,875, and that's what we decided on, the final amount. Number 5 was the brick oven for the front signage. The request was $5,000. The recommended amount was $3,750, and we have decided to put that towards line item 19. Those funds would be allocated towards there. Line item number 6 was Miss Susie for 2 more metal sculptures at $1,500. The recommended amount was $1,500, and that's what we decided on. Number 7 was Wilson King at the Chalet Realties next door. The sign at the front there was requested for $22,1506, and the recommended amount was $1,700, and that was the final decision there. Mr. Brooks at Beechwood Realty for a Realtors magazine ad at $496, and we approved or recommended amount was $496, and we approved that. The next one is Mr. Brooks again with Beechwood Realty. The sign at his front building for $1,250. The recommended amount was $1,000, and that was the final decision. Miss Smoot at Four Seasons, a naturalized daffodil, which is like a flower garden, requested $427.70. The recommended amount was $425, and they have decided to allocate their funds towards line item 19. Number 11, Miss Burleson at Beach Mountain Realty next door, for a new website and reservation software. The request was $4,350, and the recommended amount was $3,500. They have decided to reallocate their funds towards line item 19 as well. So the final balance there would be 0. Number 12, Miss Elder at the Overlook Barn. Her project was the marketing and Southern Bride and Groom. Requested $2,692.50. The recommended amount was $2,000, and the final decision was $2,000. Number 13, Miss Ann at the Historical Society, an improvement of museum displays for $1,100. Recommended amount was $800, and that's what the decision was. Mr. Smoot at Four Seasons, an upgrade website and online bookings. The request amount was $3,100. The recommended amount was $3,000. He has chosen to reallocate his funds to line item number 19 towards the sled guns. And the amount there is 0. Number 15, Matt at the Beach Mountain Club, Battle of Beach, number 5. His request was $1,000. Recommended amount was $250, and that was the final decision there. Matt again from the Beach Mountain Club, a pickleball retreat. His request was $1,228. Recommended amount there again was $250 with an approval of $250. Number 17, Mr. Barth at Beach Mountain Inns, the Sunset Concert and Jazz Series. The request was for $2,000. Recommended amount was $2,000, and that was the final decision on that as well. Number 18 was Mr. Larry at the Wet Wolf Lodge for the downhill scenic bike adventure. The request was $10,000. Recommended amount is 0, and that was the final decision on that. Number 19, Sean Royal with the Buckeye Rec Center, the Sled Hill gun. For his request was $16,500. The recommended amount was 0 at first, and with the 4 adjustments with line item number 5, number 10, number 11, and number 14, the final offer would be $10,675. And the last one is Mr. Barnes at the Beach Mountain Club. His project was a golf tournament for $1,000. Recommended amount was $250, and that's what we decided on. That brings the requests to $60,359.29, and the recommended amount went to $25,296, and obviously that would be the same for the final. And let's see. Do we have any questions or comments, or do we have a motion to move on?
May I comment on
Yes.
number 4?
Do we need to say anything about the group that's the legacy
Oh,
grants?
No, you've already got them in your,
But I mean, don't we still need to adopt that at this?
you adopted
meeting.
them already.
We did at the budget meeting.
Number 4, the painting of the building actually is complete, and in the application, he said that if he got some money, he would paint and upgrade the sign. So that 1875 is actually to paint and upgrade his sign.
Okay. Will we need to fix that on the line item, since he already
Yeah, well,
submitted?
what we'll do is when we give him his award letter,
Mhm.
let him know that it is,
For the, okay.
yeah, that what your intention was to let him paint his sign.
Yes, ma'am.
The other one is Larry, where, number 18, where we did not choose to award Larry any funding. It wasn't that we didn't want to fund his marketing project, it's that we want to do his marketing through Pineapple, and he, you know, if we just gave him $10,000, he'd have to go out and find somebody to do a marketing campaign for him. So our thought is to market his concept, which was getting the bicycle rides down the mountain and then picking them up down at the winery and bringing them back up. It's a great concept. But we just need to incorporate that into the marketing that we're doing and not, you know, give each business a separate pot of money for that. So when Pineapple comes up on the 26th, they will stop by and talk with him about how to integrate that into our marketing. So.
Yes, ma'am. Any other comments or questions on the grants? Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Just a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that there was a big to-do about the board members getting money and all
Sure.
that kind of stuff, and you guys stepped up, and I believe you did the right thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I think going forward, and this is just a comment, going forward and over the years, even though you were okay with getting the money for like Mandy and Calder, you as a business owner have to get that special thing
Yeah.
from the state. I think you should be aware that when you do in the future, board members are awarded money when they're able to get it. You should think about how much it's going to be, because as I'm going to just use the old saying, it doesn't pass the smell test. You know, it doesn't necessarily look right when
Yeah.
board members are giving themselves a lot of money. And it's just a comment, but I've heard other people say that. And so I'm just letting you know that, and not telling you or anything like that. But just keep that in mind in the future when you're awarding grants, because it could look bad, even
Yes,
though
ma'am.
it's perfectly okay, it could look bad.
Yeah, no.
And I would hate for the members to, you know, have people go, oh, they got a lot of money, that type of thing.
Sure.
And so it's just something that people have talked to me about here and there, not a lot of people, but some people. And so I'm just relaying that to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And I also kind of believe that myself, not kind of, I do believe that
Yes,
myself,
yeah.
is that I don't think that you should not get money from being on the board, but there is possibly a limit that you should get where it doesn't look weird.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. No, thank you for your thoughts. Yes, ma'am.
Is this number that ended up being 25,000,
Mhm.
is that a percentage of some budget? Where does that come from? I mean, how do,
It comes out of this line item.
Yeah, and when they originally,
That's great.
they were trying to keep somewhere around $20,000.
so your budget was 25-ish
Yeah, they
for
were,
that?
but they have a lot of money in reserve. They've accrued a lot over the last 5 years. But they were kind of vaguely thinking 20 to 25,000 would be a reasonable amount that wouldn't stretch it too much to award. So,
And when we went into that meeting, we were thinking most people would get about 75% of what they requested.
No,
Mhm.
she's speaking about we have a TDA retreat that we just started this year, and that's when we had discussed either doing the grants or not doing the grants. And most of us felt doing the grants is a good incentive for the businesses and
Well, it certainly helps
Yeah.
the looks of town.
oh, absolutely.
And that's one of the TDA goals.
Sure.
But it's all part of that 124,000 that's the capital outlay.
I just was curious if it was some percentage or it was just a number y'all
Right.
felt comfortable
I
budgeting
think that
for.
was, it was a comfortable number.
Yeah.
All this extra money, is it in savings somewhere, drawing interest?
It is, where you see the split out of it is on the current budget sheet down at the bottom. So we have money that we can move. The capital management trust is actually the savings. And it is drawing interest right now, but he can move money anytime in and out of that.
Boy, it sure looks like you ought to.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, you're right. So that's actually, and it just has a few $1,000s to keep it going all the time, but we do have a lot of money that can be moved in.
Any other questions before we move on, guys?
And this is for the year that we are just about to end.
No,
No, that-
This is for
starting
the
July 1.
Coming year?
Yeah, for the
July
life one.
1st.
Okay,
Yep. Yep.
so it's done for a while.
It might be nice if, say, September, you could ask all the grant folks to kind of give us an update if they finished their project or, I mean, they may not, but it'd just be nice maybe by September to have a feel
Okay.
for what they're doing.
Do you do that? I mean, you give them money, do you?
In years past, like when I've asked for one, for like a projector, they asked me to provide a receipt. So
Okay.
from Best
So you
Buy.
make- So it's not like
Yeah.
they can ask for it, you give it to them, and I decided
Yeah.
not to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
you do that.
Yeah, and we do follow up with them because we want to make sure people actually remember to do their project and then get reimbursed. A good example was Overlook Barn did their project last year, and until I contacted them, they didn't realize that they had never asked for a reimbursement. So I was like, oh,
Oh,
free money.
well,
Yeah.
that was a nice surprise.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
people get busy and they forget, and,
And-
and we do want to know if they don't do it, we want to reallocate the money.
Yeah,
so.
that's right. That's the main reason I'm asking, is that way by December or January, we could reallocate to another project and if somebody decides not to use their grant.
And then there was kind of a fortunate situation where Jess, for multiple years, came and asked the board for money for the streetscape, and they kind of rolled it in and rolled it forward, and so when the streetscape was actually finally ready, Jess has been gone a while, but we were still holding some money that was earmarked for that project, so. They can choose to hold something over into the next year and just call it a carry
So
forward.
they have to do the project and then they're reimbursed
Mhm.
for the money that you have allocated.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else, Rob?
And on the legacy ones, I'd like to do the same thing. I think we need a little bit more oversight on the legacy group.
Yeah, and something that Calder had mentioned was we might revisit having a legacy group. It was what the legacy.
Is that the young kids that?
It was where we saw that we had been giving grants to the same people year after year, and they were things we wanted to fund, but we didn't want them to have to go through the whole process again. So we just went, for this year, we're funding this. This is a batch that we feel comfortable with, and we know they're going to apply. We're just going to say to you, Fred's general work until you get $3,000.
So it's a recurring grant.
Resort, you get $3,000.
Without having to go through the application.
And it
Yeah.
shortened our process and our time.
It did, it made it very easy, but Ms. Calder's saying that might not hold for all of eternity,
Right.
because we might come up with some other ideas that would be more heavily weighted toward meeting our goals
Necessarily
than
get
those.
too complacent in that.
Yeah.
Well, and Cindy, you might remember, because even back when you were on council, remember it was always fireworks, flowers, and Christmas lights. The
Yeah.
TDA and the town were always volleyball. Who was going to pay for it this year? And we just finally said, we'll do those. You know, that started the legacy group, that we agreed to take those 3 on a permanent basis. That's how that
So
started.
fireworks are officially TDA now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. No argument.
Remember those.
Mr. Karaoke here, 2,500, I guess that was for a machine?
And to pay the
The person.
Yeah,
the
he
person.
actually has a,
That
an entertainer
DJ
guy that
guy
comes
that-
in,
yeah.
yeah. and does it. Jimmy's been down there to sing.
I was there one night when they started that, and we decided we needed to get out of there. I was afraid we'd be the last ones and only ones here to sing, so I said, gotta go.
Wasn't that part of the deal that each town council member had to go down and do their performance?
I'll guarantee that. When I got in the choir as a child, even my mother said, are they desperate?
Any other comments or questions? So do we have a motion to accept the 2019, 2020, or I'm sorry, the 2019 and 2020, sorry, grant?
I so move.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next one is the approval of the 2019-2020 budget. Do we have a motion to approve the budget of the $387,996?
It's a lot of money.
Where is
It's
that?
tiny, it's the tiny writing. Here, yeah, it's because it's so tiny, you need it like for Scott to see it.
That's
Oh, I see a budget.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
387. Oh,
387,996.
I'll motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Moving on to the marketing and TDA report. I'll ask Ms. Kate to give that.
Well, you've got in your packet, a synopsis of the marketing that we've done so far and then where we're going for the next few months. There is a conference call for marketing that happens on the Wednesday of your board meeting at 10 in the morning. And they send out an agenda like 15 minutes beforehand. If any of y'all want to sit in on the conference call, you're more than welcome to. It's very interesting. Those people there's a team of them that are partly in Atlanta, some of them are in other places, but you can kind of pick the brains of all of them at the same time, and it's a good exercise. I know everybody doesn't have time, but you're certainly welcome to. So if you would like for me to forward the email, just look for an email about 9:45 on the Wednesday of your board meeting, and then you can dial in the number that you see on this agenda, and you'll be able to just listen in on the conference call. They are working, what they call their deck side meetings are where Pineapple PR people actually go to a destination and they meet with the media, the local media people there. So they are working on some of those for the Charlotte area. They have done several drafts. They are trying to bring Mike Jordan up. He was supposed to come up when we had A.L. Sharpton, and he could not make it. A.L. Sharpton was quite the fun guy. He came in, and he's a beer writer. Happens to be a black
Not to
phone
be
who's up there.
mistaken with Al Sharpton.
Actually,
Yeah.
I thought she was.
it's much better looking. He is very fun young man.
Yeah.
So we enjoyed him very much, but this other fellow was supposed to come when he came and he could not. So we still have a media trip coming to us from him. And it'll probably be in July, August, when we're able to get him up here, because we want the brewery to be open when he comes. Although the brewery's going to be open later in the year, so we could even move him to fall. But I would love for him to see all the summer activities. We do have the packaging starting for fall already. That, you know, we're always working 3 or 4 months out on things, and so we're getting ready to get all the blurbs and everything written up for fall marketing. We'll be using Hike and Wine, and we'll be using Bike and Brew, and also the club package, club sampler, because that's still good until the club closes in October. So we do have the meeting scheduled with them, which I think will be wonderful, and Cindy, I hope you'll be able to come. That it's a wonderful team of marketers.
That's your pineapple group?
Yeah, the pineapple group, and it'll be in here on the 26th at 1 o'clock.
Where are they from?
Atlanta. So they're
Should have been called Peaches.
yeah, they should have been. They're a really dynamic group of people. We have a Google campaign in the development right now, and it is another fall campaign that we're working on. I did talk to him about our concept for doing the bird watching thing, because we've never done anything with bird watching, but we are on the North Carolina bird watching trail. And when we just did a little bit of a boost for fishing, we got a lot of people for fishing. So putting a little bit of effort into something else that's already being promoted in other places in the state could help us, and it wouldn't cost a lot of money. So they're going to add that in and give us some information about that on the 26th, how they might be able to work in some bird watching, target some bird watchers with some of the digital ads. We did.
Did you tell them when they leave, they can take a free deer home with them?
A free deer, yeah. We need deer watchers. Is there a deer watcher group? Anyway.
Not difficult.
Just open the car door and we get in. So we did complete the May Spectrum campaign. We're not going to do the Spectrum campaign again. That was when we did the digital marketing through another agency, and it was actually Spectrum, like the cable people. It didn't do as well as what they did just in-house with Pineapple. And we had set aside separate money for that, so.
Spectrum is in TV?
Yeah. So we're
Is that
just
for like the visitors
.com.
channel?
It was spectrum.com in Atlanta, Charlotte, Raleigh, Atlanta, and I think the upstate. And we didn't get as many hits to our ads trying to go through them as we did just with them doing in-house. So it didn't bring us back as much return. And it was a lot more expensive. We thought because it was Spectrum we would get more. It was worth a try, but it didn't really pan out. But we did, with that, we targeted hiking and camping people, because that usually comes as a group, not because we have camping, but those interests are usually grouped. And adventure travel, ecotourism, mountain and ski resorts, and vacation offers, and we also targeted wine. Let's see, then we did have some really good coverage. Ski Southeast mentioned Beach Mountain in an article on summer activities in ski towns, and that was not something that we reached out to them on at all. They picked us up on their own, so that was free, basically. Summertimes put us in under several different areas, but we're under pet-friendly destinations, which is a really big growing demographic, people looking for pets. And I know y'all are getting more and more calls, I'm sure, for people wanting pet-friendly. So the Land of Oz is still a top attractor for the mountain. If you look on the website, out of the top 200 places that people come to us, things that they're actually looking for, Land of Oz or Wizard of Oz or Land of Oz Beach Mountain will be usually about 50 of the top 200. So it's bringing a lot of people, bringing Beach Mountain to the attention of a lot of people. And then our results have been really good. We've grown a lot faster than the state tourism, but state tourism dollars revenue has increased 5.6%, and that is really wonderful for last year. That's their highest percentage increase since 2011 when things started getting a touch better. But in that same time period, you all increased 14.5%. So you're doing real well. You're on the right track. I think the fact that you have goals and you're working towards specific goals, but you're flexible and you can kind of add in a new thing when something offers itself that might be a good possibility is real helpful. And then on the last thing that I've got on your last page, this, I will update this next month, but you now have $6.8 million in your gross receipts for lodging, which is really good. You can see your progression from 2008 up to 2019, and it looks really good. I feel like you're on the right track.
Thank you, Miss Kate. Are there any comments or anything before we adjourn the meeting? Miss Mandy or Sandy or Calder?
Is Pineapple also working with the ski area on promoting their new summer things?
Yeah, they got all of that information from Talia. She was really good to send them out about the summer sledding and the roller skating, which is really exciting. And she's got a package too where you can do both of them, buy one ticket and kind of split your time up between the two, which is a great idea. Plus her summer music series are wonderful. She's got some really great names booked, so.
I think she starts all that, or the sledding, or tubing and outdoor skating this weekend.
Yeah.
So it'll be really fun to see what kind of turn up.
Yeah, I think she's doing a really good job, and we are working with them too to promote all that.
Was this morning?
Yeah, it was this morning. I always, the day of the board meeting, they give me the very latest update on whatever they're working on. So I'm thinking if y'all want to do.
Oh, okay, call it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a meeting per se.
No, it's just a phone call. But since we do it in that style, y'all can all just call in the same number. You can come over to the office if you want, but you don't have to. You can just do it from your own phone.
And you're going to send us a reminder about the thing on the 26th?
Yeah, I will.
Any other questions for the marketing? And then now I'll ask, is there any comments or anything from any board members before we adjourn? Okay, the only thing I'd like to say again is thanks for coming along, Cindy, and also we had a little bit of a hiccup season, so hopefully we can move past that and all work really well together, and we shouldn't get offended at anyone if we ask questions like Cindy did. I was really happy to just ask questions, and so I appreciate that because that's how I learn and that's how I feel like there's no confusion. And same thing with the budget, how you added the details and the line items to keep from confusion and to, just all working well together. So hopefully we can continue to move forward and be aggressive and make people happy up here. Anything else, guys? Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I don't have more questions, I'm just not smart enough to ask them.
You'll have a lot of questions. Yeah, you will. I've been on mute for a while.